Not Doja Cat.
Yeah. Clip of her like throwing her vape. She got called for an award and she like quickly
No.
was like and like ran off the stage.
Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Perfecting Me podcast. And today I have another special guest. We are on a roll, y'all. This is one of my dear, dear friends. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Corinne, and me and Michelle have been friends for about 2 years now.
2-3 years. Should have been
Yeah.
friends longer, but
Way longer.
here we are.
Yeah. It always happens at the end,
We locked in. It does.
Yeah.
And just a special little extra, my beautiful art that I have up there, those two pieces that look way more coordinated than the rest of the stuff on my wall, are by the one and only Corinne Atisso.
Thank you. Thank you.
So if you guys want to commission some artwork or even just look at some beautiful artwork, you better follow my girl. I'll definitely put her handle somewhere on here.
Link in the bio.
It-
Link in description.
Exactly. Today, me and Corinne are going to be talking about childhood trauma. And we decided mutually to talk about this topic because we realize it's something that we've talked about a lot, like just in passing. And I think it's something that we like both can relate on.
Definitely.
So we're going to get into that.
Let's get into it.
The first thing I wanted to ask you was, how has your childhood trauma impacted you?
I would say it has had a profound impact on multiple areas of my life in the way I communicate with other people, in the way that I view relationships and love, like my values as I've grown up, I would say have been affected by it. So yeah, in a bunch of different ways.
I feel that those aspects of myself have been impacted a lot. And then I also think like how I operate in the world has been impacted
100%.
by my childhood trauma. Because I know I can often see myself like, for example, something I've been coming to terms with a lot is the fact that I talk a lot. And I feel like we both talked about this before. And like I realized that like I have a habit of talking a lot, and not just talking a lot, but over talking people because of like being shushed and silenced a lot as a child, and like me just being a person who has a lot to say. Like it just didn't have a good effect on me, so it turned into like me always being in situations at home where I felt like they wouldn't let me get my point across. So like I tried to say it before like I was completely, before I even forgot it, because by the point where I shut the fuck up and I haven't said anything, I forgot what I was even gonna say. So it manifested into something where like my friends could be talking about something, and like just because I have a profound thought, like I can interrupt or I can like cut them off and not even realize it. And I feel like it took me having to realize that like I was slowly taught how to not listen because I felt like I wasn't listened to. Now I'm in a place where I try to catch myself when I'm like talking to my friends, especially if they're talking to me about something that like that I can get passionate about. Like for example, me and Clara, like love you. But like we talk a lot, especially about things that are very, very deep. And like I feel like I think I'm so thankful and grateful for her because she has so much patience for me in times when like I can tell she is like, okay, Michelle, like I know you don't see what I see, but like please shut the fuck up and let me say what the fuck I feel. And like I'm glad that I was able to make that mistake with a friend who was willing and loving to like help me learn and like teach me so I don't like make these mistakes with people who actually like a partner. Like I don't get in a relationship and I'm always over talking and not listening to my partner and their needs and stuff like that.
I feel like that also stems from like having either a big family or a loud family. Like I definitely feel that vibe of like, because for me growing up, I was always kind of like the odd one out. Like I'm the only girl, I'm a middle child. So my brothers kind of, like I don't want to say rallied against me, but they did most of the time. And in conversations that included my parents, I was kind of I don't want to say left on the back burner, but I feel like my older brother and my younger brother are both better at like getting their points across in an efficient way, and it
Yeah.
kind of takes me, a while to articulate my point or my reasoning. So like in that sense, my family would kind of be like, "All right, Corinne, like, all right, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?" Kind of like dismissal. And I feel like, yeah, that also does like lead to, like when you're in spaces where you feel comfortable enough to share, like it could just go on forever. Like I can
Yeah.
just share forever. Like I love storytelling, and I feel like I never really got the chance to do that as a child in the ways that I like really, wanted
Yeah.
to. So yeah, like now as an adult, I definitely like I kind of pride myself on the fact that I'm a good storyteller. I am aware of the fact that like a lot of the times I do just carry on like speaking with no certain end to, my topic or like my thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Feel that.
I also think I love that about our friendship because I think we both realize we both can talk, and so it creates a space for no shame. So it's
Right.
like if I'm the one who's rambling for like an hour, fuck it. Like if you're the one who's rambling for an hour, fuck it. And I appreciate those friendships because just like Clara, like it gave me a space to like not feel how I was made to feel or like
Right.
how I made myself feel. Because also too, like it do be things where when you're young, you just don't understand and you take things in
Personally.
in a
Mhm.
way that like it probably wasn't that deep, but
Yeah.
it felt that deep. Growing up, my siblings are 8 years older than me and they're twins.
Oh
So
wow.
like they're a boy and a girl, but they're twins. And
Right.
if you have twin siblings, y'all, I'm praying for you because, like, well, I love my siblings. Don't get me wrong, but they just have this like connection. Like,
Mhm.
it's just a known connection that like they get each other. They're kind of like two halves of a whole.
Right.
So like it always kind of felt like I was being ostracized against. And then them being older as well. Like my mom had them when she was like 19 or 20 years old. So like they also all come from like the same generation and like
Mhm.
mindset as
Right.
like my parents in a way.
Mhm.
And so I often could find myself feeling like I just was misunderstood completely. Like even if I was a person who was able to express myself in a way that like should be understood,
Mhm.
it was always just a situation where like I wasn't understood just because we come from different time periods, we have
Right.
different beliefs and like just like the generational differences and then they're twins and then like my parents' generational differences and then me being the one who was born in America was also like another thing because it's like
Mm.
you American kids
Yeah.
and my siblings were born in Tanzania so it's like they obey the way that is expected. They
Right.
talk and operate within the family system and have the
Mhm.
same beliefs in ways that are expected. Whereas like here comes this Gen Z or whatever generation I'm supposed to be, pro black, pro gay, pro women, like and who's super outspoken. Whereas like in foreign households, even voicing your opinion is like disrespect. I look back now and I realize my parents and my siblings were never trying to ostracize me. Like it's not
Right.
their fault they're twins. It's not their
Yeah.
fault that they have this like connection that
Yeah.
like I can't be in. Like I have to be okay with the fact that my siblings are twins, not them.
Right.
They they didn't ask to be twins
Just like
and
the way my brothers are boys.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like I didn't have to take things as personally as I did, which I think helped me in the long run. But, I definitely relate with you on that one. In what areas of your life now do you see the biggest impacts from your childhood trauma?
That's a big one. Ever since I was a young girl, I'm not exactly quite sure where this stems from. I think I have to do some more self discovery to really find the root cause of this. But
Yeah.
ever since I can remember, I have been so reluctant to ask for help, just like speaking up for myself in a way, whether that be like asking for help, like coming to my mom, like if my brothers were bothering me. Like I feel like I have kind of always had this like instinct to like deal with all of my problems on my own. I think maybe it could be the fact that like, my brothers they don't have issues, but they required like a bit more attention than me as a child because
Boys.
I was very like independent, like give me my Junie B.
Okay.
Jones and I'm okay in my corner, you know what I mean? But like with them, you know, they kind of required a lot more of my mom's attention. So I feel like that kind of relayed into me like, you know, just like figuring it out on my own.
Yeah.
And as an adult, like the same issues persist. Like throughout high school, I was, you know, no matter how much trouble I was having, like I would always refuse, you know, the idea of tutoring or study groups with friends and stuff like that. Like I could not, even to this day, like I never go to an office hour. Like the office hours are there. I'm not
Yeah.
going, babes. Like, and I
I
know it
feel
would
that.
help me, and I know like it's not as scary as I make it up to be in my mind.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I feel like I'm gonna go over there, and you know, whoever I'm asking for help from is gonna like have something against me somehow or some way.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like
That's
think that
interesting.
I'm, you know, stupid because I need help or something like that. And I feel like I've as a child, I've always been painted out to be like, because I was such a, you know, calm and bookworm little girl, like I've always been painted out to be like a star child in a
Yeah.
way.
That
So
actually has a really heavy impact
yeah,
on you
yeah.
because
So
I'm the star cousin
right.
of, and I have, my dad has 9 siblings in America alone.
Oh wow.
So that's a whole bunch of kids.
Mm,
I'm the eldest cousin. I'm the the smart cousin, the cousin that doesn't get in trouble,
right.
and it's like, so
That's pressure.
yeah, like it makes, when I do things that aren't that bad, it makes them way worse than they actually
Exactly.
are.
Yeah.
And I don't think the people in my life realize how much pressure they put on me
Right.
when I make mistakes, or they don't see how, like, because they accepted failure, quote unquote, in other people, they allow for them to make more mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like on people like us, if you're the star kid, you never do anything. Like my mom's favorite thing to say, I love her though, but her favorite thing to say is like, you were such a good kid, then you turned 18, and it's like, I'm literally the
Yeah.
same kid.
Yeah.
Like I'm probably better. When I was younger, I probably hated you. So like, because of all the trauma and just like
Yeah.
emotions as like a teen,
Yeah.
Whereas now, like, I hold no resentment or anything like that towards you, and I understand you for who you are. But because I don't like fear you, or
Mm.
I don't like feel like I have to think the same as you, I'm the bad child.
It just affects like the way, because like from there like having trouble asking for help and like speaking up for myself, it like that goes into every aspect of my life, like work. You know, I
Mm,
definitely have a lot of trouble like setting schedules that work for me instead of thinking, you know, like putting everyone else before me
yeah,
almost. And like I don't want to say that I put everybody else before me because I definitely have selfish tendencies as anyone does, but I feel like definitely in like work settings,
you
like
get caught up in other people.
I'll get caught up in other people,
Yeah,
like I'll stay the extra hour, I'll pick up the extra shift, and like, you know, when roles are reversed, like no one's trying to do that for me, and then I'm confused, like I thought this was a family environment. And then I
yeah,
and then I have to step back and realize, you know, like it's not that people care. Like I just quit my job a few weeks ago, and because I was like dreading work, I'm crying before my shift. My mom's like, why are you crying before work? Like, you're not the one who has to be miserable at their jobs here. Like, you're not the
yeah.
adult in the house. Like, chill. You have a job. School's your job. Like,
Shout
just
out, mom.
chill, really.
Yeah,
Um, and I, you know, I'm kind of like offering my explanation to her as to, because it wasn't like she said that and I was like, okay, I'll stay home. It
yeah,
like I kind of went back and forth with her and I'm like, but no one's there to close, you know, and she's like,
yeah.
who gives a mother frick? Because
Nah,
at the
and
end
she's
of the
so
day,
real for
like
that.
it's a business. And at the end of the day, like if my hours or anything like that was such a big issue for me, I could have always just spoke up for myself, talked to
Yeah,
my manager about it, got that changed.
yeah.
You know, I did change my schedule, but besides the point. Yeah, I feel like in like 9 out of 10 of my like job experience has been like that. Crazy
That's
to
probably
me.
really hard, especially because like people pleasing alone is like a thing. Like you could be like the meanest person, but you still naturally have that instinct, that inkling to like not get on people's bad side, to like, unless you're like one of those people that's like feels like you're like hated, you know, when someone like kind of that like putting the pressure of like the smart kid, if you're the bad kid or like the one that never listens and da da da, like usually those people are the type of people to accept that they're bad and then they don't care. But 90% of the world like cares. Like especially like growing up foreign, like that is something that is extremely pushed, is like everyone is looking and you have to give a fuck how you move because everyone is looking and you don't want to be caught lacking. Like in African culture especially, like I remember how I can probably like use my hair strands to count how many times I've heard like, what will this person say if they knew I did this, and like my parents used to, my dad, like I said this to Clara, how my dad used to like not get so mad if I didn't wear a jacket to school and even like remotely cold weather, just because like what my teachers would be thinking about him. And it's like, bro, my teachers are not seeing you and going like, damn, she, like there's kids who are actually homeless, wear the same clothes to school every single day and teachers don't even notice. You know what I mean? Like they're not worried about me not wearing a jacket. But like because of how they were raised, they had that rhetoric, and then now we have that rhetoric, and I feel like that, like you're also foreign, so like you probably have that rhetoric, then just the natural inkling to like not step on anybody's toes, not inconvenience anyone's life, and then being raised the way that you were, like it probably is really, really hard for you. Because I know I am someone who it's really hard for me to speak up. First of all, why would she do that? Please. Y'all, if you hear some music in the back, bro,
just vibe out and dance along.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just it's a little spicy extra for you guys.
Little ginger.
Love you.
There was something sweet, something spicy.
I definitely used to have that same problem where like I think it also comes from being like the good kid. Like in the sense I don't want anything that I say to come off as an inconvenience to you.
Right.
So like I and that's probably why my mom feels like I switched up on her too, is because I used to be this type of person that like didn't want to inconvenience you to the point where I wouldn't even express if I had like needs, or that I if I needed help on something. Like I don't think I ever like asked my parents for help with my homework if I struggled or like stuff like that. Like I mean, don't get me wrong though. I was spoiled. I can accept that now and I can say like I'm definitely spoiled. Like especially as a family and human services major, I'm beyond spoiled because there's people out here who don't even know if, like who know they're not going to eat when they like leave school because they don't even have a house. Like they, you know, so I definitely am spoiled, and I say even above spoiled because like when it came to asking for like food or like money, I had no problem like asking for those things because like that was just kind of the relationship, the dynamic that was created. But like things that like really mattered, because not saying that money doesn't matter because it sucks, but we live in like a capitalistic society and money does matter. Like people need money to just live. But like in like a spiritual sense, money has like no value. So when it came to like me having emotional needs or like things that came to, in areas where I'm supposed to be the smart one, I'm supposed to know what I'm doing there, I definitely found it really hard for me to like ask for help. Or like I can say for me, like with this question, I have two areas where I feel like in my life I see the biggest impact from my childhood. Is I'm a water sign, like I'm a Scorpio for anybody who doesn't know. And like whether you believe in horoscopes or not, baby, this one does. So yeah, I believe that like everything has a plays a part, just like how your upbringing and your where your neighborhood that you grew up in, your school, all those things can play a part in who you are. And so with my water sign, like I'm emotional, like, and that's something that like growing up in an African household, like just being black in general, I think there's a lot of like stigmas surrounding emotion and being an emotional person, especially for men, which need to be debunked. Like, can we all admit that everybody has feelings? Like everybody. So like I was an emotional person, And like I'm one of those people who like if I get mad or if I feel misunderstood, like I can't help but cry. Like my tears will come out. Like I
Yeah.
can't help but
I'm like that
cry.
too. And then you lose credibility when you start
Yes,
to cry in front of people. Like
exactly.
that's the
And
worst part.
I think that had that exact thing of like me vocalizing my feelings, and then because I start crying, like my family would always like say things like, "Why are you crying? Like
Yeah.
you're like, bro, you're crying." Like, and it was always such a bad thing.
Yeah.
And so like it turned into this thing where like I couldn't cry to my friends for years. Like I spent probably my whole high school career like crying to one person. And it's crazy because like I'm the same person who if I get mad, like I can't help myself but cry. There would be times where like I'd be going through it, but I just would not cry. Like I had to be pushed to a point of just like complete despair
Yeah.
to like really cry in front of somebody. And even then, like I'm crying, but the whole time I'm sitting there like mad at myself because I'm crying, which is
Right.
just making me cry more.
Mm.
And I learned like you like crying is natural, girl. Like I would never tell somebody else not to cry ever
Right.
in my life, no matter like what they were crying about. Like even a man, like I wouldn't be like, bro, you're a man, stand the fuck up. Like like
Yeah, no, that's wild.
I think I'm definitely healing from that. Like I can confidently say now, like if I was hurt, I'll call Clara and cry, which like is a big improvement for me because there was many times like I can visually remember myself like in this room where it looked like it was pink and like was completely different, crying and like having like my friends like typing my friends' numbers in and watching it and like changing, going to another friend,
Yeah.
and then to the point where I just choose to not call anybody because it's
Yeah.
like I knew they would support me, but because of everything I've learned out of habit, like I just couldn't let myself. The other area I would say is like in my relationships.
100%.
As far as like reassurance,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like being plus size, like I'm gonna talk about it a lot because that's just been like the biggest part of my life is like being a black woman and being a fat woman has been like the biggest aspects of my life. They have like 100% made me like who I am because like I was never given a chance to not be aware of like what I looked like
Right.
in my life, especially like when you're young. Like kids' favorite thing is to talk about fat people. Even in my progression and finding beauty in myself and like finding myself attractive and learning to love myself, I do, but I still have this battle where like just because I love myself, I can't believe that somebody else would be able to love me. Like it's like I've been taught that like everybody else don't think you're attractive, so you got to think you're attractive for yourself. But
Yeah.
then when someone does find me attractive, like it's like I believe people should find me attractive, but I don't believe that you do.
Yeah.
Like I don't believe that you're being authentic, so like I constantly need you to tell me that you're attracted to me, like even if I know or like I can feel it. It's like I will tell myself, well, but they do know I'm fat, right? I remember when I first started dating, like on the dating apps, like I would like try to give niggas like a little warning, like, and mind you, I like was hell bent on using pictures where like you could see that I was big because I didn't want to be put in a situation where somebody's telling me I'm catfish. Like, so like and even then, even in using my pictures where like I thought I looked the biggest, like I would still try to like, I hope you like fat girls. Like, and it's like, girl, what the fuck? Like, stand up. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Stand up. If you're a plus size woman and a man is fucking with you, don't ever question it because insecurity is super unattractive. I, as a fat girl, am unattracted to insecurity. Like, if you're insecure and I can see it, like, which is insecurity is very easily seen. Like, it just makes me wonder why I should like you if you don't like yourself, you know? So like please y'all stand the fuck up. Don't ever remind no man that you big because he knows you big. These niggas be liking big bitches, they be insecure themselves and wanting to fuck with big girls. So
that's the real tea.
Yeah, like
that's
all those guys that bullied you and constantly made sure to remind you that you're fat. If you're
wait
16, yeah, wait 5 years. Those will be the same ones in your DM.
Oh yeah.
Those will be the same ones sliding up with heart eyes back to back to back with no response in the DM. Those same exact ones. So your time is coming where you will show him that you are the prize that he always knew you were, but wouldn't allow himself to like because of what everybody else thought. So, fuck that. What advice would you give to those who don't know how to heal or find closure from their childhood trauma.
I feel like that just goes back to what we were talking about, like just understanding that like everybody is, you know,
Human.
human, and
Yeah.
being human is a constant learning experience. Like,
Yeah.
I watched Insecure over the summer, which I know I'm way late to the party. Don't judge me.
Oh, it's
I
okay,
was
babes.
actually hip to
Me too.
Insecure when it was still like a web series, or it was like Diaries of an Awkward Black Girl or something like
Baby, I
that.
couldn't tell you nothing. Look,
I
I'm
need to find
black
that on YouTube.
and I'm very black.
I need to find that on YouTube and show you.
Fine.
I think Skylar put me on when we were like little, but
Now Skylar's black.
yeah, Skylar's black. But yeah,
Shout out Skylar.
just like watching, you know, like obviously a lot of these stories are probably dramatizations of what actually happened in her life, and
Yeah.
you know,
Nah, but
like
that shit low key feels very
it
relatable.
it feels very relatable, and but a lot of times like watching that show is so comforting for me because I'm like, damn, she fucked up big this time, and you know she's gonna push through it. And at the end of the day, like
Yeah.
time passes, you know, people change, things change, like opinions change, like everything changed. So it's just like at the end of the day, like these like big mistakes that people make, like it doesn't define them as people. I feel like the only like not the only
So
way, but I
sorry.
feel like the biggest like first step that you can take in healing from childhood trauma is just understanding that like you you know like these experiences that you've had and the mistakes that your parents made don't define you or them, and that
Mm.
every day is a new day. You're capable of, and this is like stuff that I'm really giving y'all advice that I don't be taking myself sometimes when it comes to like habits, bad habits, and
I
like
think everyone does that.
make small efforts to understand your parents. If that's not a part of the conversation, like if you're in no contact with your parents and for a good reason or whatever the reason may be, like I'm not here to judge you about your relationship with your parents. But I think it is still good to come to that understanding that like while you may be at peace with not communicating with your parents and maybe that's the best decision for the both of you guys, at the same time like I do still think it's valuable to, you know, just like be real with
Try.
yourself and like, you know,
Yeah.
they're human too. Like they made mistakes. Like it didn't work out in the end. We're
Yeah.
better off separate. But you know what I mean? Like it took my mom moving across the world to like miss her mom. Now she's on the phone with her mom every day.
But I would agree. Yeah, I would say give grace to those in places where you can. Like, pick your battles, essentially. Especially the older you get, bro. Like, I be telling my little cousins this all the time. Like, you control your peace and your freedom. All that shit is in your hands. It depends how you handle your parents. And the number one thing I told them that helped me, that saved me, is one, accepting your parents for who they are. Like, stop expecting your mom to be super mom if like, and not saying that like they're not super mom, or not saying that my mom isn't super mom. Like, she's a super mom, she's amazing. But like, there were things and needs that I felt like I needed, and like for years I tried to get those needs from her, and like I expected them from her, and every time she showed me that she was incapable of performing in ways that I needed her to or wanted her to, it just made me more and more mad at her.
Right.
And it just had me like create more and more resentment for her. And same goes for my dad. When I decided to accept my parents for who they were and like no longer lie to myself about how this situation might go, like it one gave me a sense of peace because now I'm not feeling blindsided by like who this person is. You fail to realize like this person is this way
Yeah.
because this person went through this and this and this and was raised this way and this way. And like, if a habit is built in 21 days and she's been doing this for the last 21 years, who am I to like expect this change from her?
Ding ding.
I ding. I would def say like give your parents grace where you can, accept them for who they are, and like also like change your perspective if you can. Like if you find yourself in a situation where you're trying to change someone's perspective, like oftentimes there's areas where like you could change your perspective too. And ooh, hi, I died. No,
Cool.
I think a lash went in my eye. Although it may seem harder to see things from somebody else's eyes, it's honestly easier. Like you have to live with the uncomfortability of like you might not be right. And that's okay sometimes. Like, it's okay to not be right. It's okay because truth is, for example, like people with religion, like, how could you be so hell bent on your Jesus and your God and then see someone else being just as hell bent as you on their Allah or their Buddha and like not understand? Like, you don't see the mirror in between like the two of you. Like, I used to never understand like how like someone could be mad at someone for having extreme faith in their religion, because essentially they're just doing exactly what you're doing. They're obeying their God in the same way you choose to. And I feel like that mindset can go anywhere, like with anyone who has different mindsets from you, unless it's like a mindset of hate, you know, like where you're just choosing to hate somebody for no reason. I feel like we've definitely talked and touched on some like really good things. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was a great conversation.
Yeah, I feel like this was very fun and freeing too. Yeah.
And I really like these mics because they play into my like God complex and my like wish to be an MC. Jump my money, but I don't care.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Kwaheri.